DDG episode 231. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
How's it going, Dave? I realize that there's some music that's being played outside of my apartment, so hopefully it doesn't come through, or we might get copy strike on YouTube. So
I can't hear it. So.
Okay, perfect. So hopefully it stays that way. Apparently people just want to have a party on a random, what is it, Wednesday, Dave? I don't know what time is anymore. When we're recording, it's a Wednesday, so... yeah, you won't hear Final Fantasy sounds, but you might hear some music from the neighbors.
So you won't trigger Andy with any little weird chimes?
No Party Finder chats today, but maybe some generic pop music. Who knows?
All right. Yeah. So we missed last week. We did miss last week because you were coming back from a trip, and
yep.
I had some other stuff going on. I still have some family crap going on, so it's definitely distracting. That's for sure. But it is what it is. That's part of getting into my middle age. It's, people get old. So
yeah, you're old and middle aged.
Yeah, I know. So, but you're closer.
Well, technically, you're closer to old and middle age, but yeah.
Yes, I know. But as I get closer, you get closer.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. But I can at least always point to you and be like, "Well, you're older."
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I got to hang on to, Dave. Let me have it.
Okay. All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are typically a weekly podcast that posts Thursday, 6 a.m. Eastern Time on podcast services. If you can leave us a review, that is super helpful. You can just visit our website, digitaldaysgaming.com. You can watch us live on YouTube and Twitch, or you can watch us on demand on Twitch or on the past broadcasts on Twitch, as well as you can listen to the audio-only video on YouTube. Whenever the RSS podcast feed updates, it does update to the YouTube as well. Or you can go into the live tab on YouTube and click on the episode that you want to watch or listen to. And you can also, if you're subscribed to both, it'll notify you when we go live. Typically on Wednesday evenings, depending on schedules and stuff. So you can check those things out.
We want it to be Tuesdays, but our lives just always seem to push us to a Wednesday.
We might be able to get back to Tuesday. Softball's wrapping up for me. School's back in session.
Yeah. Stuff's
kind of mellowing out a little bit. So, but something always comes up or something happens whenever we plan for Tuesday. But that's why we have Wednesday as a buffer day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you can check all that out at digitaldaysgaming.com. You can look us up on Twitter at digitaldayspod. You can join our Discord, which is linked in the show notes, and the Facebook group, which is linked in the show notes as well. The personal push has been more towards Discord. But, I try to keep track of where everything else is going on. So, and with that, we'll jump right into the news.
Yeah, so we did miss a Nintendo Direct last week, but honestly, I watched it while I was at the airport, and I don't feel like we missed much.
It was like just a Japanese Direct, wasn't it?
No. It was an Indie Direct and Partner Direct. So
yeah,
there was just a few things that might interest me, which I don't think any of the stuff would have interested Dave. But there's a Tetris collection and then another Capcom fighting collection that look pretty cool.
They announced Sea of Stars DLC, sir.
Oh, yeah, but that was a quick little
I was just
thing.
saying, there was something in there that interested me for a second. I went back and watched the trailers.
Okay, yeah. There was Sea of Stars stuff for Dave, but it wasn't too big a deal. But they also said it's a partner showcase and an indie world that they just put into one 40-minute video. So it makes sense that there wasn't anything groundbreaking happening during it. But let's catch up on the other news that hit over the last 2 weeks. That was pretty major, including something that hit yesterday that kind of had the whole industry talking. But let's start with some lighter news. Annapurna is co-financing Control 2, and they are looking to bring Alan Wake to TV and film. So this partnership is just strictly a co-financing partnership for Control 2. Remedy wanted to make it clear they are still self-publishing Control. Annapurna is only co-financing. When it comes to Alan Wake, Annapurna is also a movie TV studio, so it makes sense that they would partner together to bring Alan Wake to TV, especially Remedy has always been interested in TV film aspects of their game design. If you remember Quantum Break, they were trying to turn that into a TV show at the same time with Xbox. And Alan Wake has a lot of TV show elements in it with some FMV live action stuff. So this is just a match made in heaven, which I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner.
Yeah, I mean, it's always cool, I think the stressing the co-financing and not investing in a company, and they're just and the specifics of they're co-financing Control 2, and then with that, hopefully they're helping to bring Alan Wake to TV and film. It's very, just looking at your, I mean, I know you bullet pointed this and I haven't read the article, but it's very specific on what it's saying and how it's working. And the fact that Remedy came out again and said, like, we're still publishing. So this just means that Annapurna is like, okay, here's some upfront cash and we get our cash back.
Yeah. And there could be a deal where they really just wanted the Alan Wake TV and film rights, and Remedy was just like, hey, we're also trying to self-publish a game. Can you give us some cash for it? Mm-hmm. So while the details aren't fully shared, it's just good that Remedy's still staying independent. Because they did have problems with 505. Like, 505 was like a good partnership to get Control off the ground, but they did have... 505 specifically had some financial issues, and Remedy was able to, like, take control of Control. I wasn't trying to do a pun or anything like that, or a word of play on words. So I think it is important, like Remedy, we've been talking about for the last like 2-3 years, that they have a lot of different projects in the works right now, and right now is when they're kind of telling their investors of like, hey, this is where funding is going for all of our various projects, because they have quite a bit of work that they're doing.
Well, and the concern is like what we're hearing, like circling back to the Bungie thing, where Bungie was like, kind of just came out and said, hey, we spread ourselves too thin and we couldn't focus on any one thing. There was that concern with Remedy as well, of how much are they trying to do? Are they really trying to oversell? Are they trying to get themselves in this position to be viable to be purchased, and showing that, hey, like, look at all we're doing, like, you can buy us, and then something bad happens. So it's almost like they try to, any video game developer, a video game company lately, it seems like, is trying to broaden themselves so wide, instead of just really focusing on what their success and what they're good at. And I know every company's trying to find like the next big thing, but it's dangerous, man. It's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, and everything that Remedy's doing right now financially just kind of makes sense, and like just like what people want is like, people want Control to be a bigger thing, and Remedy knows like, okay, how can we finance more Control? How can we finance more Alan Wake? And that's why they have the deal with Rockstar and Take-Two to like do all the Max Payne remasters. It's where you'd imagine a company like Remedy maybe doesn't have like the full most like want to just remaster or remake one of their old games, but that brings in money and guaranteed money to allow them to do the crazier projects like an Alan Wake Control. I believe they have Quantum Break rights again, so they could always return to that if they want to as well. But yeah, it's good to see that they're staying financed, basically, and staying together. And then Annapurna just seems like a perfect partner. Like, they're the indie darling. They're right up there with Devolver Digital in terms of, like, if you're an independent studio, you want to work with, like, Devolver, Annapurna, A24
putting their logo on your trailer is always a good thing.
Yep. You know what you're in for when you see the Annapurna logo. All right, the next bit of news is some good news on Xbox, though it's still weird news. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection is coming to Xbox finally, after several trailers and announcements about Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection coming to PlayStation, Switch, and PC. They were ignoring Xbox, and we're pretty quiet on like what the issue was, but they did just kind of casually say that they worked with Xbox to pass technical hurdles and bring the collection to Xbox One. And it will be backwards compatible, so it'll be able to work on Series S and X. And Dave, I imagine that is the technical hurdle right there of just like, they don't want to develop for multiple platforms. They only want to develop for one platform, and Xbox, Microsoft weren't a fan of that idea. Like, they've had some mandates in place.
Because they only made Marvel vs. Capcom Collections only coming to PS5, correct?
PS4. So it's only coming to PS4, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So whatever the technical hurdle was most likely the backward compatibility thing that Xbox has kind of built a standard for, of like, hey, we're barely selling enough series as it is. You can't release a game that doesn't work on the series.
Yeah. Or just like, you don't, they wanted a specific version for that. Like, if you're going to make a game, they probably don't want you to make an Xbox One game. They want you to make a Xbox Series S or X game.
Right. But I don't think they can. So
Yeah, and then also, like, if you make a Xbox Series S or X version, then PlayStation might be like, well, we want a PS5 SKU. Like, even if the game's, a basic, it's a fighting game from the 2000s, so it's not like it's a technical, like, thing that they need to overcome. This seems like Capcom is just trying to make this collection as lean as possible because it's also, like, a license hell. Because it's, like, multiple Marvel games that they probably like, hey, we just want to do one version per platform, and we don't want to do any more than that. So it looks like a compromise has happened. Another Capcom Fighting Collection has been announced during a Nintendo Direct, and it didn't include Xbox, so now fans are like, well, what about that collection?
Right.
Is that collection coming? We'll see how if this opens up the floodgates, though. This might just be like a one-time deal, because Xbox was getting a lot of shit for not having this game on their platform. Especially because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was on Xbox OG. So people, they have nostalgia for this possibly on the Xbox.
Yeah.
As opposed to just on the PlayStation. All right, that was a quick story there. Again, there was not much going on until the last couple days. The next story is Valve admits deadlock is real. So Valve don't really announce games anymore. It's rare that they announce games, and when they do, it's a big deal. So Deadlock is going to be a 6v6 third-person hero shooter. Valve did warn this is in early development, but they were basically forced to say that the game was real because a lot of footage leaked over the last couple weeks, and they recently entered a friends and family beta. So they expect more footage to be leaked from that, which is kind of funny. The friends and family beta, they're like, well, we can't trust these people to not share this info. But yeah, this is a big deal because it's Valve. It was funny, though, because a lot more people wishlisted this item on Steam than were, ever interested in Concord. And that was a story during Concord's first couple days because Concord launched, and then Valve admitted Deadlock was real and then put the store page up for it. So it immediately took a lot of attention away from Concord on PC, even though technically it isn't a game that's accessible right now because it's in a friends and family beta.
Yeah, but when you make Counter-Strike, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're talking Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, Dota. You're. This is a big deal that Valve is getting into a hero shooter. We'll talk about later, maybe hero shooters live service games are dead or have kind of hit their ceiling, their wall. But it doesn't matter when it's Valve. Dave, I don't know if you have too much experience playing Valve games, but I know you have at least seen a good chunk of them.
Yeah, I've seen them. I mean, I know what Counter-Strike is. I know what Portal is. I know what Half-Life is. I don't have very much experience or hands-on experience playing Valve games. Really wasn't really messing with too much PC stuff until recently. And Valve has primarily been a PC developer, obviously. But I mean, they're a pillar. You're talking about Mount Rushmore developers or whatever in video games. Valve's up there. They're carrying the.
They have that Blizzard prestige that Blizzard used to have.
Yeah, they're carrying the number one, arguably the number one competitive shooter of all time.
Yeah. If you look at just the entire realm of PC shooters, that Counter-Strike is definitely up there. All versions of Counter-Strike have basically hit up there. And they're good with monetization, as they shown with, Counter-Strike and also Dota. So where if you want to talk about a company that has economists working for it and kind of know what their audience wants, it's going to be Valve.
Yeah.
This is a crowded genre, as we'll talk about later. But Valve can kind of do what they want and they'll bring their audience in. And also Valve can step away from it and it probably won't hurt them if they decide they don't want to do it.
Right.
I think they kind of abandoned VR, if you think about it. They are free to do as they please, and this will probably be a big deal whenever this goes into open beta, or if it's free to play, or if they even charge for it, because Valve, I feel can get away with charging for a shooter, even in
I agree.
a couple years when this game is announced. But yeah, it's always good to know what Valve is working on. I wish there was more to talk about, but the footage that leaked isn't that in depth. and we don't have too many details on it. But it definitely is going to be one of those things where if you're working on a third-person game, you're working on a first-person game, you're working on a hero shooter live service game on PC, you are now on edge of like, we need to release our game as soon as possible because whenever this thing comes out, it's just going to take over Steam, even temporarily. I feel like Valve on PC is on the level of like the devs that are worried about when Grand Theft Auto is going to launch. You know, like, you got to get out of the way.
This is like whatever this game launches, this is a day that you're going to see a lot of people take off work.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Even if like, you know, they shadow drop it, people will stop what they're doing. Even if they walk away from it and are like, this sucked, people are still going to.
Or they'll either shadow drop it, they'll like give it a whole year window, or I mean, I know there's like 3 options. I'm saying this, or they'll do the early access thing and just slowly roll this out as, you know, like, hey, pay $20 and get access to it, and then keep listening, evolving, and growing before they officially launch it, and, you know, founder pack it out or whatever.
Yeah, they'll definitely have a lot of different options they can go with, especially because it is Valve. They can do early access stuff. I feel like Dota was in early access for quite a bit of time before that released. I could be wrong on that, but it felt like it was early access. And of course, you know, like a lot of their games did start from like, you know, mods. Like Left 4 Dead kind of was just a Counter-Strike mod for a little bit. Counter-Strike had mods coming off of it. Team Fortress 2 has its history. So they know how to develop a game, and they also know how to evolve over time.
Dota 2 did have early access, yes.
Okay, Dota 2 did. Yeah. This is going to be one of those things that people are going to pay attention to. I won't be too surprised, though, if there's either 2 things that are going to happen with this game. Valve is going to go completely radio silent, and we're not going to hear about this game for a long time until it's ready to release, or they're just going to shadow drop it at a random time. Like sooner than we expect. I feel like there's no middle ground. It's either going to be shadow dropped randomly, or they're going to go completely radio silent and then have a big display in like 2-3 years, like, hey, this game's out. But either way, it'll probably be successful. All right, Dave, let's go into the Sony corner, the PlayStation corner. The first story, just kind of like a little PlayStation story. This kind of frustrates me a little bit. I saw the same response to this article that I was feeling. But PlayStation CFO Hiroki Totoki said in an interview to, I think, the Finance Times, that PlayStation does not have enough original IP that has been built from the ground up, and they need to correct that. The quote is, we're lacking the early phase of IP, and that's an issue for us, basically saying that they just don't have enough IP. They don't have enough original franchises, specifically franchises that they've built from the ground up. Before you take over, Dave, I feel like
you can speak to this much better than I can, actually, because you spent significantly more time on PS1 and PS2 than I ever did. So I'm not, you know, I get what he's saying, but at the same time, I just they have stuff that they're choosing not to leverage.
And that is my main problem with this, is because they do have like a graveyard of IP, and I would I don't have a full list of their IP, but I would imagine they probably have more IP than Nintendo, more IP than Xbox for sure, more IP than Sega and Square Enix. They may have been around less time than some of those companies, but they definitely did, especially during the PS1, PS2 era and the PS3 era. They had a ton of different IPs and different games that they kind of just gave up on, or that they just did one and dones, or didn't really put too much effort into like making those franchises work. So hearing them say like, yeah, we just don't have enough original IP. It's like, you just don't believe in that original IP for whatever reason. Because if you just look at
like scrolling through on Wikipedia super quick as you started talking, I mean, just things that they released in like 1997 as an example. I mean, and I'm not saying that any of these would do anything. These are some of them weren't even published by Sony, but it's believed that Sony owns the IPs for these. Like I don't even recognize some of these things. The Colony Wars, like as just an example, like Disney's Hercules, like I don't, Ghost in the Shell. I mean, maybe this is not the.
So those would be the ones that they technically develop, but they don't own the IP for. At least the two that you had mentioned. I need to pull up a list. I'm just trying to figure out the right PlayStation Studios.
Yeah, list of Sony. Well, it's like list of Sony interactive entertainment video games. Like
Sony.
Okay, here we go. Like Ape Escape, Astrobot. I mean, this is alphabetical. All the God of War stuff, Horizon stuff, Infamous, Jack and Daxter.
All the mascot games from the PS2 era. Yeah.
I mean, they still have Warhawk. They still have a Twisted Metal. They still have Sly. They have SOCOMs. They have Ratchet and Clank. They have Resistance.
Filters. Yeah. They own EverQuest. They own the Wipeout franchise, Warhawk, like you said. Lemmings they own. Gravity Rush they own. Buzz they own. There's a lot of stuff that PlayStation has that I feel like still could be viable things if they take a shot at it. Especially when you talk about certain games that like they might not have been successful to the standards of today back in the day, if that makes sense. But like, I feel like there's enough people that have nostalgia for some of this stuff that would be willing to give it a shot. I still think it's crazy that, like Infamous is kind of a dormant franchise. Killzone's a dormant franchise. Siphon Filter, like how, Dave, since you've been covering games, I feel like we don't go a year without there being like a rumor of like, oh, Siphon Filter can come back, and it never does. But if you look at Sony's IP, like if you look at Nintendo's IPs, like they're all like not one genre, but they all fit under the family-friendly umbrella. If you look at PlayStation, they have every genre covered. If you look at their history of IPs, and they're not utilizing enough of it. And as great as I love the PS4 era, they kind of just did third-person action adventure.
Yeah. And ultimately, in the end, like, I mean, we can kind of get into it a little bit. It'll kind of tie into the next conversation. But like, as many pieces of hardware in the at the end of the PS3 era, through the entire PS4 era, and currently in this PS5 era, the direct sales of first-party games aren't as successful as perception gives when you start digging into the data of the most successful things. Like, I know off the top of your head, like, I mean, I have it in front of me, Michael, and I don't think you do, so I'm just curious. Like, do you know what the best-selling first-party PS3 game is?
For PS3, I wouldn't be surprised if you said it's a Gran Turismo.
Okay, yes, you are correct. Can you guess the amount of units in the millions?
Probably 20-ish, maybe 15 to 25.
11.95.
Okay. Yeah.
And that, and then the second best-selling first-party game is The Last of Us at 7 million, and then Uncharted 3 at 6.6 million. And then if you go look at the PS4 life cycle, the best-selling first-party games for the PS4, Horizon and God of War and Spider-Man both got up near 20 million. Everything else is down around Gran Turismo numbers.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that PlayStation does a phenomenal job of producing marquee titles. They just don't move like a Nintendo title or when Xbox was in their heyday. Like I could pull it up and look. I mean, I don't even so hang on. So best selling, if I can type, sorry.
Which is going to be, I think, Halo 3 and Gears. I believe would be probably their best selling.
Yeah, I mean, well, technically, Minecraft is, but
I have the same problem
right.
where
so Halo 3 at 14.5 million units is was the best selling 360 game, best selling first party 360 game. And you could argue that they weren't really first party because I guess they did own Bungie at the time, but the publisher was Microsoft Games.
Yeah,
because I'm not counting Kinect Adventures. Sorry.
Yeah, it technically was Microsoft Game Studios, but I pulled that up. Yeah. Halo 3,
and then Halo Reach, and
Halo
so
Reach,
that's Halo Reach, and then it's Halo 4.
Well, you remember for so long, it wasn't until The Last of Us that like PlayStation really broke through, because the 10 mil mark was always like the barrier that they couldn't get through, and then they started to easily clear that. It's basically like when it comes to PlayStation, to bring it to baseball, like Nintendo hits a home run almost every time, and like PlayStation gets really good doubles and triples, like they get really close. They're able to clear that 10 million threshold like with ease, but it's when you get into like the 20s and 30 million threshold that Nintendo easily clears. You see PlayStation, what they want in terms of like sales, especially like Jim Ryan was big on like, hey, we need to be critical and we need to have sales.
Yeah. So like even just referencing like the Wii as an example, similar time frame generations to the 360 and the PS3, removing Wii Sports from the equation because it was a pack-in. Yeah. Mario Kart Wii, like 37 million. Like, I mean, and then you can go down to like Super Mario Brothers Wii, 30.32 million. I'm eliminating Wii Play and Wii Fit Plus. Like, I consider those kind of like what I would classify as like gimmick games. Like, people are like, I want to lose weight. I'm playing video games and losing weight. Like, I lived in that world. Like, I get it. Super Smash Bros. 13.3 million. Super Mario Galaxy, arguably a hated Mario game, 12.5 million.
I feel like most people absolutely love that game, but yeah. Well, no, and then if you look at the Switch numbers, it's ridiculous.
Right. And I'm trying to compare PS3, 360, like, and then, for whatever reason, like Sony won the battle between 360 and Xbox One and PS3 and PS4. Sony won the battle of, hey, we have Call of Duty. We have the box and we have Call of Duty, and they're still riding that coattail, but in the end, they're just riding, like, now the Grand Theft Auto is going to sell really well because there's the most boxes. Like Sony has the most boxes. But what sucks right now is, like, I'm kind of, I'm tired of third person over the shoulder. Like, I mean, and I'm saying that, and I just bought Star Wars Outlaws because it looks cool and it's a third person over the shoulder game. Like, and I don't know what the answer is anymore, because it's your options are essentially asymmetrical, third person over the shoulder, and first person shooter or first person. Like, those are your options, but you kind of got to like mix them up a little bit somehow. I mean, like,
and they used to do that. PlayStation used to be really good at that.
Yeah, at its core, Naughty Dog is a fantastic developer, but Uncharted and Last of Us are running on similar foundation engines. Engines for sure, but foundations, gameplay mechanics, Right. I mean, it's like, okay, you're just in a different world. Like, you're just in, they're third-person action-adventure games. Yeah, right. It's the bread and butter of PlayStation. And I would argue that Infamous has a similar foundation.
Yeah, it's just open world. That's the little difference. Ghost of Tsushima, open world, but it's still third person action adventure. I would imagine if you're in charge of PlayStation, you want to do new IPs, but it's too costly, and we'll talk about with Concord, of just like making Concord from scratch cost over $100 million, and part of the issues Concord had is, what the fuck is Concord? What is that? And if you just look at the graveyard of PCs that PlayStation has, it's just like, what if you put that money into one of these IPs that's kind of a household name? Just a little bit of a household name? How much more successful would it be? Now, some of those franchises wouldn't work for a live service game, so it's going to be the thing that Sony, I think, will learn very soon once their second live service game launches, that they need to step away from live service games and kind of take a cue from Nintendo. Especially Nintendo set up in a spot where, like, Xbox is already going like, hey, we don't care if you buy a box or whatever, and PlayStation's kind of banking on, like the Grand Theft Autos or Call of Duty's coming there, of like, we're going to sell a ton of copies because we have the most boxes in homes. That's not going to be the case in 2 generations when you're no longer selling a box, you're literally just selling a franchise or an IP to people that are trying to stream it to their TV. And they won't be able to rely on that, because at that point, Microsoft will be selling Call of Duty directly to the user with no console in the way, to where PlayStation's going to have nothing to offer.
Yeah. People criticize Nintendo all the time, Nintendo it's coming out, Legend of Zelda Echoes or whatever, that's coming out. You're playing a Zelda. It's coming out this month. People are like, oh, well, it's just a reskinned Zelda game that you get to play as her. Okay, well, you know what? I'll take an Uncharted game playing as his daughter right now.
Yeah.
I want to see that story. I want to see that world. I want to see what new mechanic his daughter has that Nathan Drake didn't have.
I'm still pitching, give me a young Sully game.
Yeah.
I want that.
I want more time of, I would play a Last of Us game that was strictly playing as Ellie or somebody else that's in that world that then ends up meeting Joel or Ellie in between the events of Last of Us 1 and 2. 100%. I would do that. And they're not, choosing not to do this. I would love to see, from a God of War standpoint, let me play, I can't think of her name right now, but let me play as Kratos' wife, or let me play as Kratos coming into that, changing realms, where he left to where the next God of War, let it be 8, 10, 12 hour, games like that. And you have the foundational system in there. I'm okay with the same combat that I had from God of War, when I'm saying but
I want to go back to Cole in Infamous. I want to, I want to see, Legends of Dragoon. I want to see so many other sort of games.
But the problem is none of those are going to break, like you mentioned earlier, none of those are going to break the 10 million unit mark. They're not.
Yeah.
They might.
But the alternative is let's make new IPs like Concord.
Right.
Or
let's make new IPs like Horizon. And it helps.
Yeah.
That was a completely different direction for Guerrilla. Kudos to them. But now it got to the point where I don't think they can go back. In terms of, and make a, can they, at this point, I don't know, Michael, would you play a Killzone 2 remastered, 60 frames per second, great lobbies, great matchmaking?
See, here, the thing that sucks about Killzone is Killzone 1 sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Killzone 2 is where it's good, and I don't want them to do kind of what Konami's doing, where hey, we're going to remaster Silent Hill 2. It's just what about Silent Hill 1?
But what if it's just the multiplayer?
If they do just straight up Killzone multiplayer, I think that could be mildly successful, but I don't think that's going to compete with Fortnite. I think it will find its audience like Killzone 2 originally did.
Yeah.
Where it's hey, you know what? There was 3 million people playing Killzone frequently.
Yeah.
And it's that thing where PlayStation would just have to be hey, you know what? We're happy with where it's at. But most corporations are swinging for the fences. They want to...
Well, they'd rather miss than hit a single.
And that's a problem. That's short-term thinking that it won't benefit them in the long run. Would you rather have 10 mildly successful games or 9 failures hoping for one major one?
You want one $20 million game with 9 failures, or do you want $7 million selling games with 3 failures?
Yeah, and that's kind of where they're going to be at. But let's just move on. So speaking of failure, Sony is shutting down Concord after 2 weeks. I think it's going to be about 10 days in total. PlayStation, in an unprecedented move, have decided to take Concord offline and issue refunds. And the refunds will be and the shutdown happening on September 6th. In a statement posted on a PlayStation blog, I believe it was the head of Firewalk Studio, said they will be exploring future options for Concord, but didn't quite say this would be something that will come back or that will stay dead forever. So they were kind of vague with that in terms of we're going to explore future options and we'll see what happens. So they didn't want to necessarily say oh no, we're never coming back. According to insiders, it is estimated that Concord only sold about 25,000 copies, breaking down into something like 10K on Steam and 15K on PlayStation. Steam concurrent player counts hit as low as 20 to 30 players on more than one occasion. I believe I checked twice and it was 27 players, 29 players at one point, especially during the Black Ops beta. Firewalk Studios was formed about 8 years ago. Concord was the first game from that studio. It is estimated that the project cost over $100 million to produce, and that's not taken into account how much PlayStation may have paid for the studio when they acquired them a couple years ago. But yeah, one thing to say about the refunds, I don't know how this is going to work because, so they are going to refund people that bought it digitally. There were physical copies sold of this game, and they basically said, check
go to your
real.
retailer.
Yeah.
And the retailer's going to be like, no.
You opened it.
Yeah. So that's super interesting.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to see if I can get my hands on a physical copy from a store just to have it at this point in time.
I kind of want to do it too, but I don't want to pay $40 for it.
I don't so we kind of talked about this a little bit in the Discord. So we've seen free to play games go away for a little bit and come back. The only other instance I can think about this is with Cyberpunk, when Cyberpunk first launched, and they didn't really pull it. They're like, no, we're done. So my understanding is they're taking the servers offline. They are unlaunching a game.
They're unlaunching. They're refunding.
Yeah. Right.
That's huge.
Yeah. So this is super, super interesting. I never expected this. 2 weeks ago when we recorded, it was out in early access and stuff like that, and I thought maybe the Steam numbers were broken, because everything was saying 0, but maybe they weren't. So this is very, very interesting. First of all, let's put a couple things to bed. So, Firewalk Studios was founded in 2018, so it's 7 years. They really didn't start officially on this Concord IP. I'm sure they had other things, but they didn't really start on this until late 2019.
Yeah. And that was one thing I wanted to talk about too. Especially some people are like, oh, it took them 8 years to develop this game, or 7 years.
It took their studio 8 years to develop a game.
Yes. And there's a big difference because you don't just hire people day one and then hit the ground running. It takes time to build up a studio. They might have had the idea for Concord early on, but the actual development time takes a while to even start. To leave pre-production or to even enter pre-production takes a while.
And I don't know if I can pinpoint what's wrong with this game, other than for me personally, when I played the beta, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for me when I played the beta. I felt like there was a lot of character, overwhelming for me, but that's not a thing. Even for you were like, I'm not really sure, but I'm still going to buy it. And you did buy it. Yeah.
And I tried to get into one match and it took more than 5 minutes. And I went to the Black Ops beta after that.
Yeah. So, at its core, me personally, I'm going to kind of go off on a little diatribe here. Sony is handling the PC market completely wrong. Requiring, and they've done this with Helldivers, and now they're doing this with Concord. They need to, if Sony really wants to do this, and they want to do this the right way, truly want to do this the right way, they need to make their own launcher. I know I don't want another launcher, but
I think that would be a death knell for them.
Not maybe, yeah, because they screwed up, because now they're going to try to do that. But so everybody, we'll just take Star Wars Outlaws as an example. You have to have a Ubisoft account. You have to, if you're on PC, you have to download it from the Ubisoft launcher. That's the only way you can get it. I don't think you can get it on Steam. And even if you can get it on Steam, it redirects you to the Ubisoft thing. So, but they've been doing that. Ubisoft, in my understanding, has been doing that since day one. It was still it was fascinating to me. I had the link when Rainbow Six Extraction came out. I had on Game Pass. I had to link my Game Pass and my Ubisoft account together to play it, and I still had to go through the Ubisoft launcher to do it.
Yeah.
So they're being reactive and not proactive. Of Helldivers took off. They're like, oh, well, we don't really have anything to show for this. Oh, make everybody link their PSNs, or make everybody make a PSN and link it. Wrong. You already fucked up, because you should have done this at the start. I think if he would have done it right at the start, whether it was God of War or Horizon or any of these games, I think that the player base would have been more accepting of it than to you to go back and do it. So now the hell that they got for Helldivers doing that, and then their answer was, okay, it's okay. Well, we're going to put it out on Concord beforehand. Nope. You already pissed your consumers off. So figure something else out.
Yeah, my only thing I would say, I agree with you in terms of they mishandled the PSN stuff. they basically got really excited by Helldivers and were like, let's get the PSN stuff in there so then we can talk on financial reports how we have 10, 15 more PSN users than we had the year before. But ultimately, I think like their own launcher wouldn't solve that issue. Epic Games is like eating money for the last like 5 years because people just want their game on Steam and they will not install another launcher on their computer. But I think there's more things fundamentally wrong with Concord that like, even if they're like PSN's not required, was not going to save Concord.
Right.
They poorly marketed Concord. Like you felt going into Concord the thing that you would feel sometimes PlayStation would do of like a dead IP
it's
walking.
100% rushed.
Yeah.
They pushed it out the door hard.
Yeah. And you know, like, why would they do that? It's like, well, because it took 6 years to develop and they probably weren't confident in the title overall. This almost feels like this is like another thing of like, this is why Jim Ryan got kind of pushed out of the company, because this is now the second studio he oversaw an acquisition over that aren't delivering, you know?
If I'm Haven, I'm terrified. If I work for Haven right now, I'm scared shitless. Fair Games is going to have a microscope on it so hard to the point where I remember the name of the game right off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I didn't put it in the report, but they were already saying like, hey, we're really confident in Haven in their game. We think they have something really exciting.
What, their game's going to make it 12 days?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like they're just doing it now because they already know like they fucked this super bad. You know, like Helldivers was like the canary in a coal mine in terms of like, hey, we don't know what we're doing with live service games. We're lucky Helldivers didn't get fucked up by us because we did the PSN stuff.
But it was also the second one. Like that was helping them that it was the second one. Concord was brand new.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, Helldivers was, like, the little glimmer of, like, oh, PlayStation doesn't know what they're doing because Helldivers was successful despite PlayStation doing the PSN stuff. And then you get Concord, and it's just like, if you're a PC player or if you're just a player in general, after you've seen how they handled, you know, the PSN stuff on Concord or on Helldivers with the backtracking, and then you see how they just didn't know what to fucking do when they had to control everything. You know, like in terms of like the launch, the development, they don't know what to do with a live service game. How are you going to feel when they're pitching Fair Games?
Where are the week-long betas though? Like, am I misremembering things, Michael? Like Rainbow Six and Ghost Recons. Like I feel like, or like The Division. Like I feel like I was playing some of these games for 7 to 10 days, like 3 months before launch, 4 months before launch.
Well, yeah,
like,
that's a problem in general. Like Call of Duty, we get 2 weekends, but the game's out next month, so it's
right.
It's not.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. Like I feel like it used to be like I don't know. Like I played the Destiny Alpha in May, and the game didn't come out until September. Like there was like genuine time where you felt like, hey, like okay, I played this X Defiant. Like it had a quick bump because they had certification issues, but ultimately it wasn't able to hang on to the success it had because the success it had was listening and looking at the data from the numerous long-term betas they had people playing in, alphas and betas. I think that we're going to have to see, I don't know what the answer is, a PS Plus trial, a 2-week trial for Fair Games, like whether it's the first, you know, the first heist or whatever they're trying to, or they're going to have to do an hour-long state of play just on Fair Games, what it is, how you play it, what the purpose is, and what their goals are. Like, they have to do that.
Well, and I think the problem with Concord is again, there's more fundamental things wrong with this game to where you couldn't do those long-term betas with this game because the game, I'm sorry, it just didn't have a personality. This game feels like it started development in 2019. It feels like in Overwatch.
So, I guess in the end, like, what is it? Yeah, is it an Overwatch clone? Is it a Halo clone? Is it a Destiny clone? Like, because like those are that's the background, the Bungie background that's in the game, and then it's like, okay, but the Bungie background was all about typically limited classes or one character, Master Chief or the 3 classes that Destiny had, and then now, I still to this day don't even really know what a variant character is.
Yeah, no, like, and the problem is, like, this game feels like it was something developed in 2019 Which again, this just shows you like the long dev cycles is broken right now. Like you cannot, it's really hard to have a successful game and develop a game for like 5+ years, costing, this much money. But like, it feels like a game that started development because Overwatch was the hottest game in the world, and James Gunn was fired from Guardians 2, and we didn't know if James Gunn was coming back for Guardians, and they saw that and like, let's make a Guardians of the Galaxy game that's an Overwatch game. And by the time it's come out, Overwatch is dead, and James Gunn is done with Guardians of the Galaxy and moved into the DC universe. So it just feels like a weird time capsule of a game. And then you also have the other issues to where it's like you said, I don't know what a variant system is. They did a piss poor job explaining that unless you play the game. And even then, it's like, this doesn't need to be a thing. I think because it is a bunch of people that were from Bungie, correct?
Correct, yes.
So the shooting feels really well, but the
Time to kill is too long.
Time to kill is too long. And I, Dave, I don't know if this is a controversial thing. What is the multiplayer called in Destiny? It's been a long time. Crucible. The best part of Crucible was the shooting because it's Bungie.
Yep.
But Crucible Destiny 1 had the most boring map design.
Yep.
And this has that.
Very laney, very symmetrical, very cylinder.
Yeah, and this map design was Destiny 1, not Destiny 2. Destiny 1 map design, which again makes sense because these people that left Bungie probably only worked on Destiny 1 and then formed this studio. So Concord had so many things where it just felt like a relic and built on top of like really bad character design. Like right now, if you type in like anything about the character design, you're going to hear a bunch of bullshit about, people hated how the cast was made or whatever like that. But I think fundamentally, it is just really bad character design.
You think it was too many characters at once?
Too many characters at once could be an issue, especially if there's no way to display their personalities, because they were doing the like, hey, here's a cutscene every week or something like that.
Yeah.
That means I'm waiting to find out like what the story is on this one character.
So the character I enjoy playing, I might have to wait 12 weeks to see its origin story.
Yeah, or I'm just going to get a little snippet in this first cutscene, and that's not going to be enough for me. And I really think the character design was just bad in this game because I told you when I played the beta, looking at the character, outside of being like, yeah, that's a tank, I couldn't tell you anything about their like story, their background, their class. I couldn't determine that off face value. Yeah. And that might sound weird to people that don't play hero shooters, but Dave, as someone who kind of dabbles in hero shooters, if I gave you a picture of an Overwatch character, you would probably immediately be able to tell me if they're
I know Reaper, if they're like if they're quick,
DPS,
if they're slow,
medic, all that stuff.
Yeah. I might not use the right term, but I can be like, oh, that's a healer. Oh, that's a brute. That's a quick one.
Yeah, you would be able to tell that, and you would also be able to kind of tell their personality off their character design. And Concord just didn't have that, like, at all. So you had something that came across as kind of generic, didn't have a good, like, character design, and then just fundamentally, like, yes, the shooting was good, but map design wasn't great. It's unfortunate. We should be championing a game that's like, we're not doing some battle pass bullshit,
Now they are.
If they come back.
Now they will be. So that I want to talk about that with you real quick. Like, so I'm with you. Yes. Like, a $40, they tried to make okay, look. So before we go on to my questions for you, they tried to make a $40 box game.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you spend $40, you get everything you want. And I think that people are like, okay, like in the free to play world, right, wrong, or indifferent, $40 is a lot for that.
They tried to do Destiny 1. Where it's like you paid $60 for Destiny and you got a live service game until the first expansion.
Right. But I guess what was the long-term plan? Like, so now my questions for you are, will this game come back? And will this game come back?
No.
At all. Like Firewalk will start over.
I imagine there's a couple reasons.
I disagree, but go ahead.
I just don't see a route where you can reintroduce Concord and get people to be like, I will give this another shot, even if it's free to play.
What if it's not called Concord?
then they're just going to launch a different shooter, because I think like you'd have to do a completely different art design, character design.
So if they rename it, change some of the characters, but keep the maps and keep the weapons.
Maps would have to be fixed as well.
Okay.
They only have gunplay. Like that's literally all they have. And honestly, I can play other games that have good gunplay.
I think this will come back. It will not be called Concord, and it will be free to play, and it will have cosmetics and battle passes in it. I think it will come back. I think it'll come back in the next 6 to 8 months.
That's too soon for those fundamental changes. If you were going to do that, you could have kept the game running. Like, well, I guess Anthem tried to do that, and then they decided we're not going to do it after all. I feel like that's what you end up getting. I think PlayStation will invest in them to look at this game fundamentally and see if they can change it. I just don't know if Sony's going to give them the amount of time they need in order to do it.
Or if it doesn't come back in the next 6 to 8 months, I fear we hear that they've closed Firewalk.
Yeah, or if they want to save face, they make them an artillery studio and put them on Fair Games. Of just like...
Or put them back on Destiny.
Or put them back on... Or they become the studio that's doing that spin-off incubator Bungie game.
Yeah.
You know, just like,
gummy
hey, you guys...
Gummy.
Yeah.
By the way, the most recent rumor is that NetEase game is still in development.
Yeah, I saw that. The mobile
Destiny
Mobile.
Coming. Yeah, like a Destiny Mobile, which is interesting. So, like, they're just like I'm sorry, like Sony's in this weird spot right now, and Michael, you can attest to this. I've been championing this for years. They cannot do multiplayer right now. They can't. Like,
no, and I think they will start damaging their reputation, and it's not going to be something that they will be able to redeem themselves with, especially if we're talking about like, hey, we fucked up one of our big live service games. We've canceled 6 other live service games apparently. And we also made your favorite studios work on shit that we canceled. So the games you want from those studios is now delayed even further.
If there's a break glass in case of emergency and there's a fucking Infamous remastered in that case, they need to go break it, and they need to go break it right now. Like right now.
No. Like, honestly, you go to the Concord people and you're like, can you guys do a Warhawk? Can you guys do a Killzone?
No, I'm talking about, you know, Herman Hulse walks into Sucker Punch and be like, what's done? Like, you know, like, what do you, like, what's 80% done? That, you know, like, and it, like, I don't know, like, if it is Infamous 1 and 2 combined at 60 frames per second, 1080p, 4K or whatever, you know, like, they got to do something. Like, and they got, I don't know, like, they're supposed to talk in September, like, and we're in September now. Like, we're hearing rumors of PS5 Pro. Like,
imagine launching that without...
What?
Well, I imagine, so, not to go off on a tangent, I think that's when we get Ghost 2 from Sucker Punch. I think they're waiting for Pro.
They announced the PS5, the PS5 Pro, and they announced Ghost 2, but then what is it? Another 15 months?
No, I think it'll be ready relatively close to that, because Ghost came out in 2020.
There's rumors that there's rumors that this PS5 Pro is going to be announced this month.
Yeah,
so I think you're talking about Ghost coming up within 60 days.
I can see it coming out within 90 days of whenever the Pro launches. Maybe not day one, but I think within like 3 months of the Pro. They need something to announce.
I agree. I 100% agree with you.
And that's the only studio that's up next that can deliver. You know? Unless the Pro comes out in spring and Wolverine actually does come out fall next year.
Yeah.
And then you're just relying on Insomniac for the entire generation.
Spider-Man 2 remastered.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But, like, it would be embarrassing if PlayStation announces the Pro and all they can announce for the next 6 months to a year are patches for current games they released on PS5. Like, those patches are coming, but if that's all they have, then...
I mean, because we're talking about near $750 to $800 price tag for this PS5 Pro, if the rumors are true, in terms of, like, 2 terabyte hard drive and what it's going to be able to do. Like, that is, like, you have to have some software that says,
and I think Sucker Punch would be the one that, like, again, of studios that...
But does Ghost of Tsushima have that kind of pedigree?
It sold really well. It sold well, and it came off the back of being the anti The Last of Us Part 2. Like, you can look up the sales for Ghost, and it did clear, I believe, 10 mil. So, like, Ghost did well. Dave's gonna Google right now. So I feel like Ghost is the next studio up, because, like, you're not gonna do that with the the Days Gone people.
Right, I agree.
Naughty Dog fucking had to cancel their game they were working on, the live service game. That's another thing. Concord failed so bad. Do you think it would really have been that bad for PlayStation to release The Last of Us multiplayer factions too? Like, that would have at least pulled in some sort of player base. Like, I think if you're like PlayStation, if you're Jim Ryan, you're just like, shit, maybe we shouldn't have canceled the Naughty Dog game. Even if it would have been like unsuccessful, it would have been a hell of a lot more successful than Concord.
People would have bought it because Naughty Dog made it.
Yeah. And you could have then kept it going.
I can't tell, like, I can't tell if this is just PS4. You might be better at looking at it. It's saying 9.73 million.
Okay, and then it might have crossed over 10 when the PS5 remaster came out.
Yeah, but I'm trying to look up Ghost of Tsushima total sales and stuff, and I'm not really seeing any kind of like definitive number. So, on paper, it doesn't look like it beat the first Horizon though.
Yeah, but 9.73 million, and then if you count the PS5 one, it cleared 10 million probably for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess if you do the Pro, you could do Bloodborne. Because that's what people want. I know,
where's this Blue Point's game? Like,
I know they're working on like an original IP or a franchise.
Is it Bloodborne?
I would hope, but the way they're talking about it being revolutionary, I just don't feel like Bloodborne fits that.
Well, Concord was revolutionary too.
Yeah, Fair Games is apparently supposed to be this creative space thing that turned into a third-person shooter.
Yeah, I'm just very, very worried right now. Like. And worried is not necessarily the right word. I'm in this point, and I felt like I've been in this point for 6-8 months or even a year now, where I'm just like, oh, that came out, okay. I got excited for NCAA for college football, but then I bought Outlaws, and it took me like 3 days to play it. I'm just like, oh, I downloaded, okay, I'll play it, and then I don't know if it's my ADHD, I don't know if it's my age, I don't know if it's my tires. I mean, it's like, I'm like, okay, I played Outlaws for a little while today, and I'm enjoying what I'm playing so far, but like. It's not like nothing right off the bat is happening that's like super riveting. It's grabbing my attention. Like, ooh, I can send the pet to go play fetch. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm not even far enough in to make any kind of valid judgment of the game or anything like that. But it's like, I'm more excited for this asymmetrical Zelda game that's coming out. Like, and I don't, you know, or Paper Mario, or like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just kind of like, it just like this funk, and it's. I don't have an answer. I'm kind of like paying attention to like, oh, I'm going to go back and play Mafia Definitive Edition because it's on Game Pass. Yeah. It's a 10-year-old game.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm still just like baffled by Concord, man, of this. This is a historical fumble, which is why I don't think that game's coming back. Like,
no, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think in terms of the development time and the studio acquisition, like, they got to show something. They can't start over.
Tax write-off.
Yeah, but you start over though. You're 4 years, another 4 years minimum development, possibly, and now you've owned a studio for 10 years and you don't have anything to show.
Just fucking write that whole thing off. It's the Warner Brothers Discovery way, and I feel like that's like, honestly. So like, Dave, like the idea that like, okay, you didn't buy it, but say you bought it, you put the $40 in. Hell, maybe you put the $80 in or whatever for the deluxe edition. You get to play it for 10 days, and then they take it back from you, give you your money back, and then they come to you in 6 to 8 months being like, hey, we're back, give us another chance. Like, you're not going to be like slightly annoyed by that proposition. Like, you'll click it because out of curiosity, but like,
yeah, if it's free to play, what does it matter? Like,
but are you even going to put the time in of just like, well, how long is this going to last?
Right.
Like,
no, I mean, I get what you're saying,
especially after the wait times.
That's why I don't think it can be called Concord at all. Like, that name is death. Like, I'm just. But if
really
it's
curious, just reskinned, is going to be bizarre,
right?
Too, though.
But so, like, I'm also curious though. This blog post came out like 11 days after the game launched, so which means that they were putting this thing together. They knew that this was a problem within the first 4 days.
Well, I think after the first weekend, they must have been like, okay, let's see what happens. And then someone at PlayStation's like, fuck, you know what's happening at second weekend? And they're like, what? Fucking Black Ops beta. And then that was like the death knell. That
right.
was the
and Marvel Rivals beta was like the same time as the second beta for Concord, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. That's why all the streamers were doing that, to where it's just like, this Concord might have had a chance if PlayStation would have fucking figured out marketing.
Sony's like, oh, we're PlayStation. It's fine. We're PlayStation Studios. We'll put our logo on the screen and we'll be fine. We're not going to pay any. We're not going to pay any streamers. We're not going to do sponsored stuff. We're not going to do
our
any
fans
of it.
Are going to come not realizing that their fans are pissed at them because this isn't a single player game from one of their prestige studios. It's a no-win proposition. I feel so bad for the developers that worked on this for 6+ years, and they basically got to see the thing they worked on for 6 years only last 10 days and then gets turned off forever. And then they got to go into work Monday, and I'm assuming the head of the studio is...
Clear the wipey board.
Yeah. Concept artists, we need some new designs. Map people, we need new maps. Gun people, you're fucking cool. You guys chill out for a little bit, and it just puts them in a weird spot. And
gun people, go balance Destiny.
Yeah. Gun people, go balance Destiny, or go bother Haven because they were talking about play, create, and share, and they're making a third-person shooter. They need some help because they don't know what they're doing. I don't know. If you're at that studio, how do you go into work full-hearted? Ready to take on the challenge. Yeah. Other than I need to pay bills.
Yeah, Sony as a company right now, man, they need to come out. They need to talk. They need to have some heavy hitters. They need to do some type of showcase in the next 60 days. And they need to start talking about some stuff. We need to know what Naughty Dog's working on. We need to know what Sucker Punch is working on. We need to know what Sony Bend is working on. We need to see this other Sony Santa Monica's second game. This all has to happen in the next 4 months. Otherwise, it's going to just start... I don't know. People aren't going to sell their PS5s, but I think this is where you're starting to see a little bit of that slightly slow burn or simmer or whatever you want to call it, a little bit towards Xbox or kind of towards Game Pass a little bit. I'm waiting to see some Game Pass numbers. We talked about the bump for NCAA on the Series S, for college football on the Series S, and now there might be some things of hey, you can get this, you can plug your Fire Stick in and plug your controller in and play these games, and Indiana Jones and Call of Duty, as you're going into this holiday and you're seeing football starting, hey, I'm telling you, there's Thursday Night Football, I think is this Thursday is on NBC, next Thursday is on Prime. You're going to see Game Pass and Prime and Fire Stick all over the place, man.
Yeah, I just I feel like people aren't even... I think we're hitting the spot because we're seeing sales are down in general to where they're not gravitating towards Xbox or might not gravitate towards Xbox. They're just going to just turn into I buy one game a year.
Yeah.
People,
Well, and let's be real. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole at all. This election is scaring the shit out of people in terms of whatever kind of money they do or don't want to spend.
Yeah, so, it's a general thing.
That's
the last
always
couple
happening.
Elections. Yeah. It just doesn't help if you're, in the business of selling things right now. Everyone kind of pauses during this time period.
We're at Labor Day, Michael, and I can't even tell you what's it called, Assassin's Creed Rogue. I can't even tell you when it's coming.
Shadows.
Yeah, I'm saying the wrong name.
Yeah. No, and
when does Black Ops come out?
I would have to look, but it's soon.
Yeah,
yeah.
But you know why I don't care? Because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So if there is a state
and I'm
going to
play that single player campaign if it's supposed to be a whole bunch of 90s, wag the dog, political crap. I'm probably going to just play that and just laugh.
If you're PlayStation right now and you do have a PlayStation showcase or state of play coming up where you announce the Pro, say you had a 5-minute chunk dedicated to fair games, do you take that chunk out?
Yes. And you go find that game you go find that remaster, and you go we knew they threw that Last of Us Part 2 remaster together fast.
Yeah. Or go to the indies and be like, we need footage.
Housemarque. Give us Dead Nation 3 now. Right now.
Or you go to Devolver of can we get 3 trailers because we need to fill in a gap because we cannot talk about fair games right now because of Concord.
Yeah.
Because Concord is just going to put imagine Herman Host is hey, here's the next live service game from PlayStation, and it shows fair games, and it's just no one can take that serious. Honestly,
or Haven, you to your point, you go back and you resurrect this Factions.
Yeah, you go resurrect factions or remaster Warhawk or Killzone.
Release factions is a free to play thing. Be like, here, just go play it. Shut up and play here.
And as much as I hate when companies just release a trailer because that's all they have, PlayStation really needs to release a trailer and a teaser.
we need a trailer for Wolverine.
Something I know it's impossible for them to come up with something that fast, but you can do a teaser for something that you can start development on relatively quick. Just give us a logo of something. But yeah, that's the news, Dave. Concord, holy shit. We're gonna be talking about this for years. I almost bought the controller. I was asking
it's high
Palmer
now, I think. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it's out of it's going for like $150 online. It was on the PlayStation Store for up until I messaged Palmer in our Discord. It was still on sale for $85, which I just couldn't justify because I have a big purchase coming up.
Yeah.
But it could have been important to my financial future if I bought this controller.
Yeah. All right. So nothing was delayed because something was unlaunched.
Yeah.
I think that we need to have a new segment of what's been unlaunched.
Yeah.
Hey, we know that you bought that, but give it back. It's so weird. So what we're playing and watching. So mine is relatively short. I purchased Star Wars Outlaws over the weekend. Actually, the ironic part is Michael and I were discussing about what we wanted to buy with our money that from the DDG account. Michael picked Concord and I picked Outlaws, so I win.
I guess, yeah. My money's being redirected to Astro, which man, that Astro controller is adorable. And
it is. I thought about showing it to Aunt, but to be fair, I haven't opened my God of War controller, so I don't really think she's gonna be like. So yeah, I'm like, and literally like I think I did like the very, very beginning of Star Wars Outlaws. The first thing I will say, third person, like we were talking about earlier, I had to like just like within 30 seconds of playing, I had to mess with the field of view. Like it was just way too close to her. Like I felt like the camera was like on top of her shoulder.
Yeah.
So I pushed the field of view like all the way out, and that helped. I can't. Nyx is a very interesting character. I really want to see how this gameplay kind of evolves. There's like this digital lockpick thing already that I've been using. I'm getting some very much on some Uncharted vibes from it already, which is not a bad thing. But I'll be very curious. I'm not a big Star Wars junkie, so if this story can hook me similar to how like Jedi Fallen Order story hooked me and made me want to care about the character, I hope to play this. I did buy it on PlayStation instead of PC. You know, just lately I've been more confident sitting on my couch than coming down here to play. So, and then still just kind of rolling through college football, kind of really, just enjoying it when I can, playing some user games, playing the computer, trying to, have a successful season. So I've been, thoroughly enjoying that. I kept getting clips of it, and I don't know if I can never tell when I talk about a random sitcom that I'm watching. I can never tell what kind of reaction I'm going to get from Michael. So I don't. I've fallen down the two broke girls rabbit hole.
I'm so sorry.
Like I never understand. Sometimes you're like, that's okay, and you're just, so I don't know. It's same thing. It's 20-minute show. That you like that with like minimal commercials or anything like that.
Dave's entering his dirty old man phase.
I got a lot of crap going on, man. Sometimes I just need to turn my brain off, okay?
There are better ways to turn off your brain, Dave. You can turn to drugs instead of two broke girls. Next thing you know, you're going to be watching Big Bang
See, now you
Theory.
sound like somebody in the show.
Oh, yeah, look at that. I'm a regular old Kat Dennings over here. Jesus Christ, Dave. There's so many better things you could do.
Yeah.
Get a hobby, whittle some sticks. I don't know, Dave. Sit on your front porch and tell people to get off your lawn.
So yeah, I mean, so I'll probably give some more impressions on Star Wars Outlaws as I get some stuff going. Softball season is kind of wrapping up a little bit. I've got some stuff this weekend that I'm gonna do for softball. But that's kind of been taking up a little bit more of my time than anticipated. But I'm really enjoying that, and similar to I look at Michael makes fun of me as I'm getting older, which I am getting older. But I look at people that are older than me, and I'm like, I'm going to continue playing softball until I can't because I'm not turning into that. So, and if that's the way that gets me up and active and moving, so be it. So, but you went on vacation.
Yeah, I went to Florida. First reaction, fuck Florida. It's hot as shit over there. It's humid. It sucks. But Disney World was cool. It rained most of the time we were there because Florida sucks. But we still had fun. It's Florida thing where it'll be like tsunami storm type rain for like an hour, and then the rest of the day's fine. So
and
ruined a good pair of shoes basically because they just got soaked and didn't dry right. But yeah, we did the Halloween night at Disney World. Then we did Epcot and Animal Kingdom. Didn't get to see the Avatar stuff in Animal Kingdom because it stormed towards the end of the day when we put that time aside for Avatar Land. But yeah, Epcot was amazing. The Guardians of the Galaxy ride and the Tron ride are just so damn cool. Sarah didn't really know the Tron ride is like they have you on a motorcycle and then like the harness just like hits your back and then you just get into ride position and it's just like go. And the ride's super quick. And Guardians of the Galaxy is super awesome. Goes backwards, goes real fast. It's in a dark. They have a sound, Guardians-esque soundtrack of like licensed song from the 80s playing while doing it. But yeah, Epcot might be one of my favorite parks from all that stuff. Food's really good there. Sit-down restaurants were really good. I don't know too much about like the quick service stuff.
Yeah.
Went to the restaurant that is like a space station to where like they take you on an elevator and you end up in like a space station and all the windows are just like gigantic screens showing you the Earth. So there's like a lot of cool stuff there. So between the hell that was Florida, Disney World, Epcot, Animal Kingdom were really cool. It's funny though. The reason we took that trip is I got one of those offers from Hilton of like if you sit through a 2-hour timeshare, you get 4 nights at a hotel for $200 flat for all 4, just for the entire trip for the hotel. That was fun. You've
never done one of those before?
No, I've not. I'm addicted though because
you want to talk about some sly salespeople, man.
Oh man, it's just so funny because like as soon as we walked in, there's just like people with like fake smiles on their face, and we're just like, please don't give us that person. Yeah. But just the cult-like mentality the salespeople have in terms of basically trying to sell you a religion, and then the scary part is when we're in a room and you see the people it's working on. And you just want to put them aside of being like, because at one point they were like, if you don't get a timeshare, you don't love your children. Yeah. And they basically
I don't have any children, so see you, buddy. Thanks.
And just seeing this one married couple in front of us, and the woman was pregnant, and they're just like, you can tell it's working on them because they said like, if you don't have a timeshare, you don't love your children, and you can tell it worked. And I was just like, man, someone needs to pull them aside and tell them don't do this. Because they were really excited for it.
Those people are very good at their jobs, though, man. They're very, very good at their jobs.
They are, and it's just you just have to be strong-willed and know, like, I am not falling for this shit. But it's just so funny because they didn't know they'd asked, me and Sarah how we met, and we're like, oh, we met when we worked at Target together. So then the person who was selling to us was like, okay, Target. So you can't afford this, but we have a finance plan. So they kept pitching it of like, if you're worried about money, you don't have to, no down payments. You just give us your social and we'll just run, credit for you. And when we told them like towards the end, like, yeah, we haven't worked at Target in like 10 years. They were just like, so you can afford it? So what's the problem? And it was just like the weirdest reaction because as soon as they get a little bit of information with you, that's what they just run off of for like the entirety of it. So it was almost funny watching them when they realized that their whole pitch for the last hour didn't matter to us. And then they got to the real reason why we were saying no of we just did this for the cheap hotel stay. Was just kind of entertaining. And the best part is like, when it gave us to the highest manager there for the final offer, this man literally looked at us. He's like, am I going to change your minds? And we're like, nope. And he just like threw a piece of paper with the final offer on the table. And he's like, that's the best I can do. And he walked away. And we were just like, can we leave now? Like, we're a little offended that this guy didn't try and pitch us. And he just like threw the paper on the table and walked away. And then in my head, I'm just like, oh shit, that's a tactic too.
Yeah.
Basically to get me to be like, hey, fuck you, sit down and pitch me. How dare you walk away from me? But yeah, we ran out of that and then just enjoyed Florida as much as we can. But I'm eligible for another presentation in 1 year, and holy shit, I'm probably going to do it because
Oh my god!
It was so fucking entertaining for people watching. Because Dave, you know me, I love people watching.
Yeah.
Anytime we went to like E3 and stuff like that, I was always just like, yeah, I just want to kind of like people watching stuff.
We'd be walking somewhere, he'd bump me. Look over there. Look.
Yeah. I'm always like observing the most random stuff. But yeah, so that was like prime people watching. So yeah, that's what I did. I did try and play Concord. That didn't work out. But I did get into the Black Ops 6 beta, and it's really fucking good, Dave. It's really good. I put 20 plus hours into the beta.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to play 2-3 hours and be like, it's Call of Duty, and then moving on.
Playing this on Xbox?
No, PlayStation. I did the thing where I pre-ordered on Amazon, then got the code, and then canceled on Amazon. Okay. But yeah, the big hook with this one is their Omni movement system, to where basically you can run in any direction, and you can also dive in any direction. Which I know sounds weird, but it basically makes the game faster. Because usually, you just run forward and you can dive forward. Now you can run sideways, you can dive sideways, dive backwards, and it kind of makes everything just look like crazy action movie stuff in terms of the movement. And then just seeing like that Max Payne kind of like jumping around happening, not the slow motion, but just the jumping. So the map just kind of is chaotic the first couple days because people were just learning like, oh, I can get out of situations by just jumping backwards at full speed. And also I could do really cool trick shots and kill people by jumping backwards or jumping sideways. So you always had to have your head on a swivel more so than usual, because at any point someone can just jump across your screen and then just start shooting at you sideways. And it's just hilarious. And then it also, there's instances where you can't trust dead bodies on the ground because there could be someone you're not used to in Call of Duty seeing someone lying on their back. You just assume they're dead. But no, that person lying on their back is like scoping you down and getting ready for like a shot to throw you off. And like that stuff was really fun. The map design's really good. Every Call of Duty game's really good, for the most part, shooting wise, but I play the beta almost every year that there's a Call of Duty game. And this is the first time that I really saw myself actually like picking up the Call of Duty game after the beta.
Nice.
So yeah, I believe
is there another beta, or is this it?
This weekend? It's an open beta, so I highly recommend Dave you download it this weekend and just give it a shot.
Okay.
Because it's really fun. Just the stuff with the Omni movement, and then again, solid map selection. Gun stuff is. I feel like the gun stuff's a little bit more toned down than it has been in the past, but I also am one of those people. I kind of just run the stock weapons in the beta. I'm not diving in to try and find a perfect weapon.
let me find the right attachment, and then let me upgrade this weapon that I'm going to lose in 48 hours.
Yeah, so just me running off like the default guns, I was having a blast playing that. So really enjoyed that. And then finally, because the Sonic 3 trailer happened and it featured Shadow, and because everyone knows the rules, like if you Sarah really wanted to see the Sonic movies after two movies of trying to convince her to watch the Sonic movies, it was Shadow being the reason she wanted to watch a Sonic movie. Because as everyone knows, if you're a woman between the ages of 20 and 35, your first crush was probably Shadow the Hedgehog. So she immediately was like, we need to watch the Sonic movies so we can be ready for Sonic 3.
Have you not seen them before?
No. I've been trying to get her to watch them, and it literally took Shadow being announced for the third one and it being voiced by Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Who's like 60, by the way.
Yeah. But doesn't look 60.
Yeah.
So we had to watch the Sonic movies, and they were decent. Like, Jim Carrey is the best part of both of those movies. Like, it's been a while since I've seen Jim Carrey in a movie where the director was probably like, be Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Like, didn't tell him like, hey, can you give us Liar Liar? Can you give us...
I actually watched that like 2 weeks ago with Owen. Like, just, and I was like, I missed this Jim Carrey. Like the Ace Ventura, the Liar Liar, the
Truman Show.
Truman, Mask. I mean, maybe not Mask as much, but
a little bit though. Like, but I feel like the problem with Jim Carrey's previous work outside of the Sonic movies is usually the director's like, can you give us the Mask, or can you give us Ace Ventura?
Yeah.
But this one was just like, you know what? Just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And he basically gives you the greatest hits of Jim Carrey in these two.
Do you see that he's playing multiple characters in the third movie?
No, I
so
didn't.
He's playing in the trailer. I don't know. I haven't dissected the trailer, but he's Robotnik, and he's also Robotnik's dad.
Oh yeah, no, I did see at the end of the trailer. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. Jim Carrey was a
Owen
highlight.
loves these movies. So
yeah, the first one, I feel like the second one was significantly better, and I think that's just because I hate the human stuff in the movies. So when the second one had Tails and Knuckles, and you got this more of the characters as opposed to the humans, that was really good. So I'm excited for Shadow being in there and just having the whole.
Do you have a subscription to Paramount Plus?
I had a trial that I signed up for to watch both movies. And my trial ends in a couple days. So
there is a Knuckles show.
Oh, is that already out?
Yes, there's like 6 episodes, and that there's a Knuckles show that you should try to. You and Sarah could get through that like on a Friday evening or Saturday afternoon. Like, and it sounds like there's pieces of that are going to tie into the third movie.
You know what? I would be against that, but I really like Knuckles in the movie, and I'm not a Knuckles fan, so I probably will check those out.
So he trained. So just the gist of the show is that he trains, like he's trying to train the sheriff's deputy to be a warrior.
Okay, I can see that being like 20-minute episodes, hopefully.
Bowling warrior, yeah.
Okay, yeah. As long as they're not like 45-minute episodes.
I have to see. I don't remember, but I think it's 4 or 6 episodes. So
okay, yeah, I could definitely see that. So yeah, excited for the Sonic movies apparently, which is something.
It's like December, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Sarah's now just retweeting Sonic and Shadow fanfic on her Twitter account now. So I'm just seeing a lot of Shadow images. And yes, you can fact check.
Wear a lot of black and red. Wear a lot of black and red around the house. You'll get her attention.
Yeah, no, it's a fact. You can look. Most people had a crush on Shadow, so that's just the thing. Yeah. Dave, you probably had a crush on Lola Bunny, so you know how it is.
Okay. Oh my gosh, you're awful.
Did I hit a nerve, Dave? Is that right? Accurate?
No, you didn't have a nerve. I mean, I'm just like I'm trying to think of. You've got me like a little like on my heels. I can't think of some short, anime
cartoon
character.
That like the little kid was fascinated by. That's one of those things.
You probably like Ren from Ren and Stimpy. I don't know.
No, that's weird, Dave. That's weird.
Well, you're saying that girls have a crush on a hedgehog.
Ren from Ren and Stimpy?
I don't know. It's
really? Ren? No, it's Lola Bunny.
Arnold? Did you like Arnold's shape of his head?
No. Why are you picking the weirdest shaped characters for this? God, Dave. Yeah.
All right, so that's our show for this week. You can follow us on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at The First MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. Facebook group, Discord server are linked in the show notes. Patreon is linked in there as well. Go ahead and check those things out. And I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
Go watch Two Broke Girls, you creepy old man.
Shut up and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.